right. Hello and welcome to InRhythm Lightning Talks. This is Ted Parton, your host. I am the tech community evangelist here at InRhythm. And this week we have Daniel Olatoye, who is going to talk to us about using Maestro Automation, which is used to help teams test their mobile applications, their UIs, to make sure that they're not breaking, that everything looks really good, much faster. And we like to have very exciting talks like this every week, every Thursday at 5:15 Eastern. We hope you'll join us next week as well. And without further ado, here is Daniel to tell us all about Maestro Automation.
All right. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday and welcome to another lightning talk. So today I'm going to be talking about UI automation, Maestro, as well as a tool for today's UI automation. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and we get the ball rolling. Okay, just like I said, I'm Daniel Olatoye, an Android engineer at InRhythm, and today I'm going to be talking about Maestro Automation. So a quick introduction to this is what is UI automation? How can we use UI automation and what benefits it brings to us in our processes on development teams? So UI automation is simply the process of automating interactions with user interfaces, such as buttons, menus, text fields, and the likes. And this automation is the process of using automated tools or scripts to test and validate mobile applications. We all know there are specialized software that we use for this automation to get interaction with the application and as well test the functionalities, the performance, the usability on different mobile devices and operating system. So looking at what UI automation is all about and what it helps us achieve, improves quality on our application, reliability, it reduces costs, because some automation tools, they are quite expensive and they take a lot to manage. Some automation tools are scripted and they are written in high-level programming languages. Finding a person to write it, paying a person to write it, is quite costly. And with this tool that we're looking at today, Maestro, it reduces this cost. Then why is UI automation so important? You might be wondering, yeah, I write unit tests, or my team will write unit tests, will write integration tests. Why then should I do UI automation for my application? There are some reasons for this, and I highlighted 3 reasons for this. The first being that unit tests are not important enough. We all know that unit tests, they are small pieces of the product. They do not include all the different ways people might use your application. And instead of dealing with real external parts of your application, unit test only focuses on mocking techniques. And this makes tests quick, easy to run, but there are some problems that unit testing does not touch. Also, integration tests, they are not enough either. Why are integration tests not enough? Just like unit tests, these integration tests, they test how different parts of your product work together with external pieces like databases, networks, and the like. So some experts in the mobile development world, they also suggest that focusing mostly on integration tests is actually not enough for your users to know what your application looks like, how it feels, because your users, they basically don't know what piece of code are joined together to make these beautiful interfaces. With that being said, there is one thing I want to talk about: the current state of UI automation. So currently in today's world, UI automation is quite challenging, as the tools used are normally dependent on structural clues or visual recognition of UI elements. So these tools, just you plug in your application to it, set up the processes, the flows in them, and you test your applications on them. And tools like this are what I listed below. We have Appium, we have Robotium, we have Catalan, we have Test Rigor, and the powerful tool we are looking at today, which is Maestro. But how does Maestro really shine much more than these highlighted tools here? Because these tools right here that we know currently, they have trade-offs as opposed to Maestro. There is the learning curve, the maintenance, the device fragmentation, the cost, like I said earlier, the false positive and negative outcomes of testing. So looking at how the learning curve is a trade-off for as opposed to Maestro. So many of these tools, just like the ones I listed below, they require some level of technical expertise and programming language to use effectively. Developers may spend time learning these tools, and they even go as far as learning the syntax, the APIs, and the libraries. And this might be time consuming because you also need to ship your products fast. Then the maintenance of this is as mobile application changes over time, the automated test scripts, they need to be updated, they need to be maintained. And to keep up this pace, it can require ongoing effort and may even impact the overall efficiency of your testing process. Then device fragmentation is something that UI automation tools may not be able to support on every devices. If your application runs on different operating systems and versions, it poses as a challenge in ensuring consistent testing across all devices and platforms. They are efficient enough to eliminate bugs, and bugs may even go undetected to production. Then, just like I said, the cost of this is it could be a barrier to smaller teams with limited budgets when they try to set up, maintain, and use all these other UI automation tools. Then false positive test results is automation testing, UI testing in general is not perfect. And in these instances, tests may produce false positive or negative results leading to inaccuracy. And this could require additional time and effort to debug and fix as well. So why should I automate my app? Automating your app is a very good process to do for your application testing because you have improved testing efficiency, you increase test coverage, you also reduce testing cost, you have enhanced quality, you know what you are shipping to the market, you've tested it well, the unit testing, integration testing, and the UI automation as well is done enough for the quality to be well enhanced. Then you can market faster. You can ship faster to the market or make your app go live. So Maestro to the world. Maestro is the tool, the UI automation tool that we are looking at today. And Maestro might seem a little bit new to some people because, yeah, it is a tool that we just discovered and it is very, very good for UI testing. Maestro is the simplest and most efficient mobile UI testing framework. And this tool, Maestro itself, is built on learnings from its predecessors like Appium, Espresso, UI Automator, then XC Test. And with Maestro, you can easily define and test your flows. Maestro provides easy automation, no more complex automation processes. Then you make use of flows instead of complicated scripts or programming languages like Python, Java, and the likes to test your application. And when I mentioned flows, which Maestro makes use of, is that flows can be set as part of the user journey in your application. Say, for instance, you have an e-commerce application where you could log in, you could check out. These things are flows. They are journeys that your user go through to complete processes in your application. So Maestro makes your testing defined as flows, which is less complicated and the simplicity is top notch. Looking at this that I have right here is an example of a flow for the default contact application on Android phones out there. So on your contact application on your Android phone, you have flows, say you meet a new person, you want to save their contact. It is a flow in your contact application because you tap on your contact application, you launch the app, you get their numbers, you create new contact, input their first name, their last name, and you tap save. So all of these things, the way I just said it is what Maestro projects. The flow exactly is what you can use to test, and flows are tested with YAML script. You could just write a simple, like it's this simple. This is it right here. This is your UI automation. You don't need to do anything special. You don't need to do more than this. This is Maestro at work right here. So you give it the command launch app, tap on create contact, tap on first name, input first name as John, tap on last name, input the text for the last name as Snow. Then when you are satisfied with all of your conditions, the flow test, then you tap on the last, you give in the last command, which is save in this case. Then one other thing I need to point out why Maestro or UI automation is important is it eliminates stress for you in your processes, in your testing process. It makes you work faster. You can like automate a whole login process. You can automate a whole saving into database, mocking network request, and all sort of things, interesting things that you would normally have to stress out testing. Maestro allows you to do it easily with just a flow like this. Setting up Maestro on your different platforms, it works as simple as this. But the prerequisites for macOS, you need your Xcode and your IDB companion. So what is an IDB companion? It is a flexible command line interface for automating iOS simulators or devices. So these things can target your particular simulator or whatever device that is plugged in for testing, and you can easily test a flow in your application. So to get Maestro up and running on macOS, what you need to do is run this command, and you can access Maestro on your terminal. Then on a Windows machine, you need PowerShell, you need Android Studio, and you need your Java JDK 11. Then the installation process is install your WSL2, your Windows subsystem for Linux. Also install your Java 11, then install Maestro itself. For your Linux, you just need your machine basically. Then in your terminal, you launch this command, and you can access Maestro in your command line. Yeah. So benefit of using Maestro, it is very simple. And it is very simple to set up and maintain. You literally need no special skill except you want to learn how to write proper YAML scripts for Maestro. Then the built-in tolerance for fakeness is Maestro has that in place. Then for delays, Maestro's AI, you don't necessarily need to try to simulate a delay scenario for your application. Maestro has the internal tools working behind the scenes on Maestro, it's smart enough to know when a delay should occur and when it should proceed from there. Then it has blazingly fast iteration. It is a declarative yet powerful syntax. And just like we saw earlier, you could define your tests as flows in your YAML script. Then it has support it supports cloud integration. Just look at it like this: automating and automation. How cool is that? It's super cool. Like you've got a superpower. And the support for cloud integration, you could run Maestro on Jenkins, Travis CI, Bitrace, and the likes. Then the ability to mock network and server requests, Maestro provides that. Though this last one right here is still in the experimental stage, but on the documentations, you could see it in action and what it looks like when it is much more stable. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of demo how Maestro works. We're going to create flows, see Maestro in action, giving commands, and we would see the power of Maestro. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. So in today's demo, I'm going to be using our the application that we built for Propel. And this is the KMM Propel application. So we're going to be writing YAML scripts for flows, different flows in our KMM application. Just trying to get that running. Hey, yeah, so it's as simple as the first launch app.yaml. Then for Maestro to exactly know what application you are targeting, it needs your app ID. And our app ID for this case, for our app ID, we are just going to, I have it in my Android Studio, where I have the source code for the Propel application, and I'm going to grab it from there just to show in details what it is. Yeah, so from here, I can grab my app ID, then impute it to Maestro for it to see what exactly is going on. App ID, then we are targeting the form.example.propel KMM demo, and we just need to add this as Maestro command, and we tell it basically launch app. Then when you have Maestro, when you set up Maestro on your system, you can just call it like Maestro test launch app dot, because we have our launch app. We named it as launch app. Then we need to save this, and we can run this command. And here, I'm trying to see how I can bring this. I'm trying to see how simple it is. Okay. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Okay. Then I can run this again. Yeah. Then Maestro launches the application here. Then I can also do things like the actual testing to assert and all of that things that you would like to test your application with. Like when we launch the application, we want to assert if we can see if our user would be able to see things in our application, like a text, like a button, whatever. But this UI right here is filled with text and cards. Then we would like to assert if a text is visible, just to project what our users see when they launch our application. So because I have InRhythm text as it text in the top up bar, I would also like to verify that Maestro sees that, just like our user sees that. Yeah, so it passed because InRhythm is visible, and I as a user, and I can see InRhythm when I launch the application. If I don't see InRhythm, say I see something like I'm trying to test for the actual text is InRhythm, and I'm telling Maestro to verify that it is visible as what the user will see. Whether it's there or not, the outcome of my test would let me know that. So this test is supposed to, so it's Maestro just runs to completion and sees all the processes that you're trying to make. So like this, because my text is not in rhythms, Maestro nullifies the text, it makes it void as in rhythms is not visible, but in rhythm is visible. So I could also tell Maestro to automate a process where I'm trying to scroll through my application, just look at how it feels. And to do that, Maestro has a list of commands that you could tell it to do. Just like when you think of it, you can type it as your YAML script. That's how easy Maestro is. So you could tell it to scroll and run the test again. And yeah, we are just trying to get this to run again, and it passes, then it should scroll. But I think it's just skipping some processes and trying to verify the command that is given. But then Maestro allows us to write complex commands for our application. For instance, just a quick walkthrough of the application. You could tap into one card and view exactly what is inside the card. Inside an item, then you could scroll. It opens a web view. You could scroll, see the content of whatever that item that you tapped into is. So Maestro is also brilliant to test web views in your applications. So far, you can provide the test tag. You can provide whatever you are targeting in your web view. Maestro can help you automate that testing as well. So this is just a flow of how the application looks like. We have a card in the main screen. Then we can also scroll. You can go back and the likes. And we can also tell, just like I did right now, I could automate that process and relieve myself of the stress. So I can tell Maestro to launch the app as that's visible in InRhythm, then tap on because this is a list. I can tell Maestro to go through this list and tap on the index, whatever index of an item in this list. Then I can tell Maestro tap on index 0. Then I can also automate that process to go back. Okay. Did it go back to some? Let me try to indent this. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Let's take it step by step and make Maestro do this firstly. Okay. Another way to do this is because Maestro is smart enough to know that there are elements, UI elements on your screen, like your text, your buttons. You could also tell Maestro to tap on a particular text or whatever. So we could try to tap on the actual text. Let's see if this would work. Yeah, so we got Maestro to tap on the element at index 0. Then we could also assert, we could also do assert that this icon shows to your user. You could assert that this image shows as well. You could also try to tell Maestro to click into your web view, then scroll all the way down to your web view and do different things that your user would do that you don't know about, but you're just trying to test for that scenario. So they are just like we explained about flows. We had one flow to launch our application. Then we had another flow to tap on an item in the list. Then when we tap on an item in the list, we are trying to go through another flow of reading this article. Then you go scroll all the way down as a process. Then like your user, what they feel about this article after reading it. A flow is to post a comment and just give a feedback about the article. So we are also going to use Maestro to automate this process as well. So I just need to create files for different flows and do a demo for that. So we have our file for launching the application. Then we could also, let me get this out of place. Then we could also create an article detail flow. Then also bring in the ID, here. Then how do we move from one flow to another flow? Maestro provides commands as well that tells your automation process that, oh, once a condition is done in this flow, you can move to another flow to continue automation processes that you want to perform on another flow. So for us to achieve that, Maestro provides a run flow command that helps you go from one flow to another easily and just automate the process of different flows in your application. So I have my run flow command that Maestro provides. Then I could also bring this here and just for the fun of it to put a condition, because Maestro supports conditional statements as well, to put a condition that says when, say for instance, your user is a first-time user on your application, and there's a condition that is for first-time users on your application, like it says this bottom sheet, it says this welcome text. So you want to assert that when that welcome text is shown, or whatever thing is shown, whatever condition after your launch app is shown, you can proceed to other flows in your application. Say your user also needs to complete a KYC process before they can tap into this item, into the items and read articles. Maestro can also help you achieve that with the run flow and the when command as well. So when we say this is visible, say for instance, we need to tap into this one first, and we say when it is visible, and to identify the first element, we can identify it by one of its components, whether the color, the text, or whatever UI element is on it. So I'm just going to use my text here. So I'm going to say when to implement peer programming. So what I'm telling Maestro to do is when implement this text is visible, I just want to run a particular flow. So I could tell Maestro to run the file, because I created a new file for article detail flow. Run this file as article detail flow. Yeah. So here I need to give commands for what to do in the article detail flow, because it's going to launch it, and we could do example of this would be tap on whatever is in your article details flow, or just complete that flow in details. So here I'm going to just play around with the UI here and try to scroll down to see what other things or how it behaves when my user tries to scroll on my application. And Maestro provides commands for all of this. And we could just try to see. So Maestro is also easy to use in the sense that you don't need to, just like I was trying to type a scroll command, which scrolls once. And you might be wondering, how do I scroll all the way to the bottom of my screen, my UI, just to test that flow sort of. So I don't necessarily need to type scroll all the time. I can just tell Maestro to give me a loop. We can do loop of conditionals, of conditions that Maestro provides. So we can repeat, then we tell Maestro how many times we want to repeat. We could say 3 or 4 times, depending on whatever you feel for your process. Then we would then impute the command. Then we can have our scroll. So we are going to launch our Maestro test and see how it behaves in real time. And Maestro is just trying to recognize that this text is visible and continue the other flow. Oh. So there is a little bit of, there's a hold up here when implement. Oh yeah, I missed this. Sorry. Then we could check this again. When to implement peer programming. Okay. Yeah, so Maestro recognizes that the text above when to implement programming is done. Then we launch our article detail flow, which for some reason, yeah, it's so in our article detail flow, we told it to scroll 3 times. You could make your YAML file very compact and just launch another flow in another YAML file. So in this first file, in our launch app file, we just tell it to run another flow when this condition passes. And you could see, because this text does not match what exactly our user is saying, the text is, it did not continue to the other flow that we told it to scroll 3 times. So we can also, in our code, we can tell Maestro to identify tags where we feed in that ID to tap on it to interact with it. We feed in that ID to Maestro and just make it smarter on what to target on our UI. So for instance, I'm going to make a flow of this. When it taps on this, when to implement, I'm going to make a flow for it to tap on the read more, then just basically scroll and comment on this article. So right now, I could just tell it to look for a text that is read more and tap on it. But I also want to show you that Maestro supports semantic text tags in your code, and you can make it work that way. So when I go to my application here and I see the article details, then I try to look for where read more is. Yeah. Then read more. So we have our read more UI element here. Then Maestro is, you could support this by adding a semantics, then add the function of giving it a text tag as true, then add text tag of read. Let's say read more. Then we're going to go back here and tell Maestro to tap on a text called read tag, read more. So for this, I will just tell it to tap on read more. Okay. So I need to also tell Maestro to tap into the element, then tell it to tap on read more. tap on this, then to implement here. Let's see that once more. Because the flow is broken, we cannot get to the read more unless we go to, by tapping on the card. So correcting this flow will tell Maestro what exactly to do. Yeah, so it taps on the read more and we get to see the article. Okay. I need to register this change and let Maestro know that this tag is called read more now. Yeah. Then I can rerun my change when my app is done building. Okay. Then yeah, launch this. Then Maestro should recognize this tag as read more and open the web view now.
That's really neat.
Come on. Yeah. Okay, so I know what Maestro wants us. So there's an ID tag as well. Maestro would use to recognize that this is now a read more tag, just like we specified it. Then if we try that one more time, we should see it work, hopefully. And see. Nothing still. Okay, that's strange. Let's see if we could get this to work this way. Because ideally, Maestro should recognize that there is a text called read more, or there's an ID called read more, and it tries to run that flow for read more. Okay. I bet I could also do it this way. Since we have a text read more, then we could also, we could wait for this flow to be done. Yes. Then try to test it. Still there. Okay.
Daniel, we have a couple of questions from our live stream. Is now a good time to ask them, or do you want me to wait just a little bit longer?
Yeah, you could ask them what I try to figure out. Yeah, you could.
Okay. The first question is from Brian. He wants to know, what if there are two lists? How does Maestro know which list to tap on? Is it like index 0, or how does that work?
So with the idea of two lists, is it like this is a list, then you could have another tab where you have another list? I'm trying to get what it means by two lists. But ideally, when we have multiple elements in a list, we could tell Maestro to tap on the index. But if you have various lists, you could just give your first list a test tag, then tell Maestro to tap to verify if that list with your test tag is visible, then tap on the ID in that list. Then you could do it for your second list as well. But now that this is not working, it's a little.
You have to remove those quotation marks.
Let's see. Yeah, I tried it without the quotation mark. Let's see. We should get this to work. But then I could also test another. So it's a little bit sensitive to what I'm typing. But we could go another route to check out how Maestro works with the articles. Then I'll just try to do something like this. Since we know we have another item that could open an article, then we could tell Maestro to also tap on the positive. So right now I'm just leveraging on using the text as what Maestro would recognize for it to tap on. The effect of sharing in reading. Oh, okay. Okay, so that would be a comment. Let's see if this works. Okay. Now we have to look for a way around it. I remember when I was trying to get this to work. Okay, so to save us time, I wrote a couple of test scripts and yeah, so I'll just pull it up. I don't know why this one I'm trying to do live is not working. So this is something that I have here. Then I have a profile flow, which would be an article flow. Then in the article flow, I just tell Maestro to scroll down, do things like scroll down, verify that an item in this list is visible, then tap into an item, just like I'm trying to do right now. And yeah, we should, let me just use this on C. So I tell Maestro, first of all, I need to save this. Yeah, Maestro launches the app because I did not save this. So I'm going to explain my flow to you. For this, I have a launch app flow, which verifies that this item is visible. And if it's visible, it runs the flow of going to the profile flow. And in my profile flow, I just try to scroll, use another nice command that Maestro provides, scroll until a text is visible. My UI element now is my text, scroll until it's visible. I give it the direction to scroll down, then at a particular speed, then visibility for the viewport of what you have in your devices. You could specify your view visibility percentage for that viewport. Then I tap on the particular text, then I tell it to scroll the number of times, just a loop. Then I go back, then scroll up again till this is visible, then it taps on it. Then we can actually get Maestro to read us this article by itself. Then in the browse article flow, we scroll and we try to post a comment using Maestro. So let's just automate this process and see how it works. Yeah. So we get Maestro to do this in the profile flow, scroll 3 times, then yeah. Then this is completely done by the automation right now. Then we go back, then we can scroll up till we verify this condition is visible. Then we get our read more text. Okay. There is a challenge with the read more text again. Okay. I'm just gonna do this. Then I must run again. Hopefully it works this time, because this is a challenge, this ellipsis. Okay, we get Maestro to go back, complete this flow. Then scroll up right now. And tap into the first element. Then yeah, good. So we could identify the read more, then we tell it to scroll. So I try to calculate how long it takes the scroll to be completed for us to see. Leave a reply, then post a comment flow should be run. So when it scrolls, apparently for this test case 26 times, we can, there's a way around this, but this is just me trying to just demo. So when it scrolls up to that, then I get Maestro to show that you can automatically copy a text, then paste it, then erase the text as well. Just like it did, I tried to get it to copy, leave a reply, then paste it, then tap on the comments, then erase that text, then type in whatever text, then hide the keyboard for you to see what it is targeting, what field it is working on, then just impute all of these things. And yeah, should tap on the post comment, and that is a complete flow of what you can automate as a process. So yeah, that's Maestro. And so in conclusion, Maestro is super cool. Just like we've seen now, we could get Maestro to read an article, see how the user reads an article as well, then post a comment, do a lot of things like impute the text itself while it is still in a web view. And you can control it whatever way you like. You just need to feed in the commands in your YAML script, then get it to target certain elements, and just automate your processes. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, Daniel. This is all looking really great. I have a quick question for you. What led you to playing with Maestro? Was it for a project, or you just ran across it yourself?
Yeah. So firstly, it was for a project, but it looked very interesting and caught my attention. So getting to know how it works in details was what led me into looking at it in depth.
All right, very cool. And let's see, I see there was another message in the chat here for you, and we may have gone past this, but it was asking, how does the script know to look for the app ID in your emulator?
Oh, so firstly, you need to get your app running, because with other tools as well, you feed in your app info, your identifier for your application. Then for Maestro, you just need to run your application on the emulator, just like I did initially when I added a semantic tag to the read more. Then I had to run the app again for that change to be to occur. Then you need to run your application first, then Maestro targets a particular device. Yeah, just to chip in, if you have multiple devices, Maestro can also target a particular device. So if you have your application installed on one device, you could target that device and feed in the app ID. So you need your application to be installed on that device, then just target whatever the ID of whatever app you're trying to run a flow on.
Can you use a physical device?
Yes, you can. So far, you can do your ADB devices to see what device. So this would not recognize because I did not set it up this way. But once you run your ADB devices command, you will see a list of whether emulators, or physical devices. Then you can target that device itself.
That's great.
One thing to also notice that all of these things can be done directly on the cloud. So there is Maestro Cloud for you to automate all of these processes. And if you have an existing process, you can incorporate Maestro with your existing process and just get all of this automation to work.
Okay, great. I think I do have one last question for you. Did you find it hard to learn this, or I mean, it looks like it's somewhat easy once you get the hang of the YAML.
Yeah.
So
So I did not find it hard to learn this because Maestro is as simple as that. You can pick it up anytime you like and start running your flows with the YAML script.
all right, excellent. All right, well, thank you so much, Daniel. That was a really good presentation. I know I learned some stuff. I think other people did too. So a couple of quick reminders before we go. Our very last workshop of our Spring Summit 2023 is tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern. It is on using gRPC with Java. And I'll be actually hosting that and running that workshop. Would love to see folks there if you have time to pop in. It's going to be really good. And that's going to go about 2.5 hours. And then next week at 5:15 Eastern, our lightning talk will be on finding and fixing Xcode memory leaks with our own iOS engineer, Takahiro Ninamaya. And we hope to see you next week. Until then, have a safe journey. Bye-bye.